everyone. Our first question is, transgender is an umbrella term, and what does it include and what does it not include?
Okay.
That's the first question I thought about, because at least in the US there is this debate over are non-binary identities transgender as well or not?
Okay, so I'll make a start then, because I've been thinking about this. And I think I come down on the side of the people who say that non-binaries aren't transgender. Because after our recent discussions, we have discovered that people aren't quite as aware of these terms as we think. And most people I've asked think transgender is someone who transitions from one gender to the other using gender reassignment surgery and hormones. So that's what you have to do according to most people to be considered what we call trans. Other people with other things like non-binaries or choice are who they are, but they're not seen by most people as being what are commonly referred to as transgender.
Yeah, you have that makes sense because of how we see and understand transgender. But the thing is, if you think about it, transgender means you do not identify with the gender identity you were assigned to, and if you have this understanding, then there are a lot of more possibilities, or the umbrella term is much bigger.
Sorry, I think I came in a little bit late. Would somebody mind repeating what the question was?
The question was transgender as an umbrella term, what does it include and what does it not include? Okay, so is there anybody else who wants to, maybe Armand can tell us about how he sees the issue, considering you are
yeah, he is. He does, and I am going to tell you what he says in about like a sec, because he's typing what he wants to say, and I'm going to translate that for you. So
Okay.
I'm sorry about this tonight. It's going to take a bit time.
Fine. Great.
No, it's fine. Don't worry.
So guys, simply he says that. He says that the simple explanation to a very big problem is that, it's when someone's soul doesn't match their body. That is like the simple explanation. And he says that, in that way, you will going to experience the kind of experiences of the both genders consequently. So
Does he regard other people does he regard non-binary people as trans? People who haven't actually transitioned but have different lifestyle choices. Does he regard them as transgender people or not?
One thing I'd like to say here is,
I am going to ask him.
With people who identify as non-binary, it doesn't mean that they like, some of them transition, some do not. So, especially physically transition, some of them do, some of them don't, or don't go the whole way. So
yeah, it's interesting to see if a transgender person thinks of it.
yeah, that's true. I'm very glad that we have him here tonight because it's always the best when you hear it from the people themselves.
And I am really happy that he has his like profile picture with his wife, because I'm so proud of him. He got married like a year ago. I hadn't told you that.
Oh.
Hey, congratulations.
Okay, so somebody else wants like answer this question meanwhile when you waiting for.
Yeah, I was thinking, Robert, maybe you could answer this, considering you're a psychiatrist. Like, how does the medical community, what's the medical community's view on this?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So, question, what does the American medical community think is included in transgender?
Exactly.
Yes.
Pretty much it's only whoever identifies as a gender other than that which they were assigned at birth, typically just based on, well, sex, which is what, at least over here, everybody is identified by their birth sex. So transgender would be somebody who was born, typically, we're all stuck on the binary. So male who thinks that they should be female or identifies as female, female who identifies as male. Someone who is intersex, I suppose it would be anybody who, like whatever they're assigned, basically. It's like you are intersex, but we're going to say you're a boy. If they are not assigned a gender at birth, then, as Valerie said, it doesn't really apply.
I don't know how that is in America, but here in Europe, it's more or less you can't be intersex. You can't be transgender when you're intersex. Which, from my personal opinion, in my personal view, doesn't make much sense really, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think your term. So it's certainly confused then.
Yeah,
but as I said,
a little bit.
Okay. The common view among common people is definitely that you change from one gender to the other using gender reassignment surgery, and that qualifies you as transgender. Anything else is just seen as a variation of a theme. I'm not even sure what most people don't even know what non-binary is, to be honest. Most people don't know what it means. But I've asked.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, but isn't non-binary like very descriptive of what it is? You do not identify as either of the binary genders?
It's a bit like asking a fish what about water. It's actually in it. You can't see it. Most ordinary people don't see it that way. I've done a straw poll, by the way. I went around asking some people when I was on holiday and ran about in work to say what they thought these terms meant. And that's what the most people I came back with did think that that's what it meant, your gender reassignment. Unless the only deviation they did know about were lady boys in Bangkok that had basically still retained their genitalia as men, but the rest of them was turned into kind of look like women. That was the only variation that they knew about. And they didn't regard them as transgender. They regarded them as, they used the term she-male, which meant they were something in the middle. That's what they called them, but that's the only variation they understood. And even then, they weren't convinced they were transgender. So the general people have a very fixed view.
Yeah, in Thailand, they're not necessarily considered transgender.
They're
called the Gatoi, and they're just sort of their own thing.
Yeah, they're non-binary.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's true. We always think, oh, there were only women and men, but like, I was going through the Bible and I can't remember where it was, but Jesus speaks of people who willfully mutilate their genitalia. And so
That
I
still
thought,
happens.
well, isn't that what transgender people do? So
Yeah, that's a fair point. That still happens in India. It's quite common there. There's actually a sect of people who cut off their own genitals and become the other gender. If they get it wrong, a lot of them die in the process, but that's what they do.
yeah, it's just
But as I said, they're seen as individual groups, like that's that group, that's the Katoi, that's other group. Nobody groups them together as one thing, and they certainly don't see them as transgender in the main.
okay. So Tade, what do you think about who identifies as, like, who do you see as transgender, or not, like, which persons do you see as transgender? Not why or so, but just the ones who you see as transgender.
Well, I really didn't have enough information about transgender, so it never also occurs any of information around me or talk or any teaching around me about the transgender. So probably I cannot participate here. So I would only say that your thought about the biblical version is probably only the proof that this was happening also back then. So this is the only proof that we have, probably. So what about what has Jesus meant with this is actually the question. Because the primal society does not recognize people that mutilate their genitals. So they are only binary. And this primal society, I mean the people before minus 15,000 years ago. So it's like also with all of the society problems that occur in the biblical and Jesus times, it is the same today, but it is way more developed, and we have a way more, let's say, to this term like anomalies, human anomalies that occur today. And this is all over the world, and is also the question: what is normal for binary, for a male and female, and what is actually anomaly that has occurred this latest 2,000 years that we have developed, and we have developed our own civilization, highly developed civilization. So actually transgender, as occurs to me, or as I understand it through my psychological theory, is like if I say that you have a boy and you have a girl, and they are fully and normally developed through their uprising. So it's like psychological upbringing between 2 or 1 year and up to 10 years, and between those 9 or 10 or 15 years that are developing psychologically, and how will they actually behave as if a boy behaves as a girl, or a girl behaves, or she wants to make a transformation to a boy. It's actually dependent from psychology in the uprising. and this is how I see the things. So it's way more complicated than actually does look at first sight. So it's like it's not really like it is possible to generate from the birth as another gender, but it's like more that it happens psychology source in the uprising years. So this is for me a transgender. Yeah. That where this transgender can occur. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't you then get into, let's say, when children, let's say if there's a boy and the boy likes to play with girl toys and a girl
Yeah.
likes to play with boy toys?
Yeah.
How is that part of being upbringing if they go into a store and they see this or that on the shelf and they like to look at that, but they don't like to look at this boy toy over here, but they're a boy, they like the girl toy.
Okay.
Where is that coming from?
Well, every child can be can like different things. It is actually the source in his brain where this come from. So it's if parents or the ones who teaches him how to speak, how to learn, how to everything percept around him. If they teaches him some different or some particular mechanisms, then boy can actually choose also the girls' toys. So it's like it's not like the boy will always think like man when he grows up. It is actually that the boy can also think like girls, but he will always be on the outside looking like a man. It is fully normal, but he will be preferring girl toys, and when he grows up, he will also prefer like the jobs and things that actually more are more like to the girls or women's side. So it's like only in the human brains which mechanisms will more develop. It is not like all the women will develop all the women preferences, and all the men will develop all the men preferences. It is actually very important on which side will actually girl or boy develop their brains through the actually those puberty times. It is very important what happens between puberty, because there is this very important years of upbringing, or 2, 3, 4 years that are actually very important for the child if he will actually develop a women, or if he will actually develop or men.
That's very ancient system, though. I mean, that's very old.
Yeah.
Robert,
very-
do you have anything to?
Before.
Okay, so yes, to go on. No, go on.
I just wanted to say before we started like with anything. I asked Armand about what we said about being an intersex, and then a transgender as well. He said that he knows people who who were born as an intersex person, but then they did their operation and became like a boy or a girl, like completely, and then in their adolescents, they found out that they are not synced with their body, like their soul is not synced with their body, so they are going to have the operations again, and operations again changing their genders. So that is possible, perhaps. And he said that there are even, he knows like people who after their operation, like transgender people who after their operation find out that they are like gay or a lesbian, and these are actually they shouldn't have had the operations in the first place, but because in Iran nothing but operating to become like one gender, nothing but this is like acceptable, and they had to do it, and they had to like not had to, so they had to do it, and they like this, they get themselves in bigger problems. And he knows the fault with the like society and lack of knowledge